Hello teacups, what's brewing? You might be able to hear from my voice that I've got a little bit of cold. It feels like I do nothing but get sick these days. I think it's just back in regular school, the fact that the kids are becoming very lax with their face masks, and it's kind of hard to enforce because people in general here are becoming a lot more lax with them. So we've just got a cold making its way around the class. Got 5 or 6 kids with it, and they like to explode their faces on other people. So the life of a teacher. Got a different wig on today because I'm just going to do my makeup because I think I might end up doing a Chantel recap, if not react. I haven't decided yet. So I'm just going to do some makeup, but also because I'm leaving, excuse me, in like 3 months, is it? I was having trouble counting the calendar then, just over 3 months because I'm staying a bit later. Oh, which we'll talk about in a minute. I'm trying out some of my makeup that I don't use as much and really seeing if I want to haul it all the way over to my next country, because it will be a short visit back home and then going. So, you know, do I really want all this stuff? So today I'm using the Ace Beauté Flare palette, which is an actual very pretty palette to look at. You can see right here. But when I bought this, I also got the Tropics palette because I really like the greens in that, and I feel like if I were to just pull the greens out of this palette, the other ones, the oranges, I don't use as much, and the browns and pinks and reds I have elsewhere in my collection. So maybe this doesn't need to be here, maybe it's just a bit redundant, but I do like their formula thus far, and it is pretty new, so I'm not sure about getting rid of it, but I'm going to try it today. I might also end up using a few of these shimmers, or one of these shimmers. I'm thinking maybe doing blue, so I might end up using that one to just help out with the blues here, because the blues here go from very dark to very light quite quickly. I might need something a bit more for a transition. Sorry, you couldn't see that very well. I think the focus was going off on me, and we'll see. But how are you doing? I hope you're fine. I've already put my base on, and I'm just going to put my brows, because with the wig and stuff, it's kind of hard to put base on around it. So I'm just going to get started with my brows, and we'll have a chat. I've been grading today. The deal was I'd do half my grading and then maybe come and do this and maybe do half my grading again. So I'm just breaking up the monotony of the day a little bit, but I'm grading my kids' writing right now. Oh God. All right, so their writing is quite weak because they were off school for 2 years essentially. They were doing online learning for a really long time. So that's a lot of typing and it's a lot of kind of conceptual work, but actual physical writing things down, we didn't get that much of. So they're behind with that skill. But let me tell you about a little troll I have in my class. I love him, but when we got back, one of the issues we were having is that the kids are very, very sensitive. They really have trouble with, not trouble, but they're underdeveloped with their social relationships, with kind of taking things as a joke, with the idea is like if someone walks past and bumps a kid accidentally in the break, Missy pushed me. You know, they're very centered in their own universe because for a long time that's all they've really had to be. So we had a lot of issues in the beginning of the school year when jokes were not being taken as jokes, because I have 2 or 3 kids particularly that are extremely sensitive because they're just not used to the rough and tumble of being in a group. And one of the things that was happening at the beginning of the school year is 1 or 2 of my kids discovered yo mama jokes and thought they were hilarious and spread them to the rest of my kids. So this is no real big deal, you know, whatever, it's a joke. But my sensitive kids were getting really upset thinking that their mothers were actually being insulted. And that's a big thing here. Like you respect your parents, nobody talks badly about them. So I came up with a blanket rule for the class. I was like, boys, nah. It's only a joke if everyone finds this funny. And if we don't, even if you intend it as a joke, it can hurt people's feelings. So for now, we don't have those jokes in this class. Yeah. So that was fine. That was something that we went on with. And that was probably a month or so ago. Yeah. Sorry. I'm not doing my eyebrows very well in this camera, so you can give me a second. All right, close enough. So, I had a kid who wrote a fictional narrative. We've been doing fictional narratives for the past few weeks. And he decided to call his main character Joe Mama, just so he could read it out loud. Here's a problem I have with being a teacher, yeah? The little troll in me appreciates the little troll in him so much. It's like, you little shit. But I laughed. But you can't laugh in front of them, but God, I thought it was funny. I was like, are you serious? And he watches me read it, and I look up at Joe Mama, I just give him the side eye, and he just goes, he was so proud of himself. And I'm kind of proud of him. I just can't. Like, there's a line you got to be careful when you're establishing rules in the classroom, but my God, you little troll. So I've just been grading that, and I was like, oh, it reminded me all over again. So that's what I've been doing with my day. Oh, I'm going to cough again. I'm putting on some matte primer in Painterly. I did have, last time I tried to use this, I had a different primer from NYX, and it was more liquid. And I was finding if I didn't wait until it was completely dried down and really give it a lot of time, it was making eyeshadow a little bit patchy because it was catching on the more liquid patches. So I'm going to try this one with this primer and see how it does. I'm thinking of maybe, I was thinking of doing blues, and now I'm looking at it, I'm not sure, but maybe we'll just stick with it. I'm committed to my mistakes. But if I'm starting with blues, I'm probably going to use like a slightly flatter brush, because I usually use this one to, oh, that's a bit dirty. I usually use this one to kind of blend things out, but blues don't blend very happily a lot of the time. So it's better to kind of press it on and then maybe blend out the edges. So we'll give that a go. So I've been getting ready. Ooh, okay, so that's got some pigment. All right, we're committed. I don't have a lighter shade in here that isn't a shimmer. Like it is all quite dark. So I'm just gonna have to tap this on and see what I can do with some blending and what the shimmer will cover up. That is a look. I do have in my Roaring 20s palette, I was so sad one of these shimmers fell out. I might end up getting rid of this palette before I leave, but it's got a lovely shade in it called, oh, this is gonna go now, called Feathers, but that's a really great skin tone shade for me. It's not worth keeping the whole palette for, although I do pretty much enjoy the palette. But you can just bring this to the top and kind of take out a bit of the edge a little bit. You can also just use a dash of your face powder, then you always know it's going to match your skin tone. If you're just doing a little bit of blending. That looks crazy, but with the shimmer, fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. What was I saying? Oh yeah, so I'm testing this out to see what I'm taking. So I'm not leaving here until August. I've got a little bit of time to get some use out of it and then make my decisions. But it's been a little bit of drama at school recently. So our apartments are part of our contracts, yeah? So if we really wanted to push it, we could stay as long as our contract is running, which is until the end of August. Thing is, they release us. I actually finish work on the 26th of June, I believe, and most people travel out. So there was a really weird piece of wording in the email we got for final exiters, because when you leave the country, your visa is called final exit instead of exit re-entry. And it said you need to send us your tickets no sooner or later than the 26th of June. Now, sometimes things get lost in translation a little bit, and we found that a little bit weird. We were like, what do they mean? They want us to send it them only on the last day. It was a bit odd, but people just sent the tickets and then they'd have them. And I had already spoken to the school and said, hey, I intended to leave earlier, but some circumstances have changed. I'm going to be staying here until August. And they had okayed that. That was fine. Like, I kind of told them instead of asking them in my email in a polite way, but I was like, hey, I know that it's part of my contract and so I can stay, but I just wanted to let you know because I know you're getting other teachers in, just so you know that it won't be available, because unfortunately my plans have changed. As I said, I did intend to go earlier, but this is the situation we're in. So politely kind of asked instead of told instead of asked. God, I don't even know what I'm saying. Sorry, guys. And they came back and they were like, yeah, no problem. So I was pleased with that. I didn't think there was going to be an issue because my neighbour was going to leave later. She ended up changing her plans, but they had already approved her. So I was like, well, if they approved her, then they can approve me, because it's a teacher staying in an apartment versus a teacher staying in an apartment. They've already sort of signed off the apartment being full, as it were, so I didn't think it was going to matter too much. Yeah? I'm so glad that I did that and got it confirmed first, because some of the teachers who are currently booking their flights, they didn't think too much about it, because what does it matter if they stay an extra day or two after the last day of work, because they can just pack up their villas and go, you know? People need a little bit of time after work finishes. And they got emails from the HR department saying, nope, you have to leave on the 26th, change your flight details. And there's just been uproar, because some people, they're not flying on their own dime, like their school is arranging their flights. And originally we had the calendar saying that we would be going on July 3rd, and that got changed, but people booked their flights based on that. And now we had a meeting this week saying, you know, the kids will finish probably the end of the third week of June, right after exams. Final exiters will go a little bit earlier, because they like to get us out on payday, because then they don't have to prorate all the pay and do a separate payment. They can just be like, you done. And normally teachers who are returning go about a week later, because they're prepping stuff for next year. But this time they've said they can go on the 30th. But they're rejecting people's flights. They're saying, no, you have to change them. And people are like, well, I'm not going to pay to change them. Are you crazy? And then some of the teachers, like I said, their new schools have booked their flights. So they can't just go back to their new schools and be like, oh yeah, just kidding, they changed their mind, so we need to change our flights. And it's quite the point of contention at work at the minute. But I'm not sure how this is going to go, because yes, technically it's part of our contract, but who's really going to go to the Labour office and make a big fuss about this? Like, there comes a point where it's not worth the effort, you know? There's no guarantee you'll get anywhere with it. And so I don't know what's going to happen, because here's what I think the school has done. In Saudi, when you final exit, you have 60 days. Sorry, this is uneven, and I'm not necessarily making it better, but I'm trying. You have 60 days in which to exit after your final exit visa has been issued. That is the law around that. I'm just putting some primer on, so I'm going to put shimmers. And what I think the school has done, another thing about Saudi visas is that an employer is given permission to hire X amount of foreigners, and they're not allowed to exceed that number. So here's what I think the school has done, because they also pay to keep us as foreigners because we're dependents. I think in the beginning of May, they started the process of exiting staff, because obviously then they'd have 60 days. So when they say, no, it's time to leave, they can still leave. But they would have to exit them earlier than our final day, because until the old staff go, their visa slot is used. So they need them out of the country quicker so that they can apply for the visas for the new people coming in, for the replacement teachers, is what I'm guessing. Because if you've got, I don't know, I'll just use a number, for example, 100 teachers, and you're trying to hire 50 teachers to come in, then if you have everyone already using the slot, you need 150 visas, which will be over your limit. Those numbers are not real, I'm just using them as an example. But the school hasn't told anyone that. Communication is not the school's strength. So now we've got people who are like, what do you mean I have to pack up? They've been working here 6, 7, 8 years. And they're like, I have to work that day, pack up and go? Like, it's not even going to work. There's a lot of people whose flights don't go until the morning, even the next morning. So either like you release us early from work, or we have to go the next day. So I'm not sure what's happening there. I think the school will just have to come to their senses and give everyone a few days, and then go and apply for the visas after that. But that's what I think is happening, because not that my school is always logical, but I think that's the only logical explanation. But if they had just said that in the original email, then people would have been able to understand that more. But it's their way to just not say anything. I'm using this blue. It's is a blue from the Beauty Bay Wilderness palette, but I hated the mattes in that palette. Do I want blue actually, or do I want green? This has come up a lot more green on camera, but it looks more of a mix in real life. Just gonna do it. So that's what I think has happened. And I think they're gonna have to get over it and give teachers more time, to be completely honest. Like, it's a day or two, but the original date on the calendar was the 3rd of July, and people planned around that. And if they're in trouble now, well, they made the decision to start exiting everyone before time. So I'm not sure what the limit would be. I don't know how down to the wire they are. I don't know if it's a case of they've been told the 26th, but they have to be out by the end of the month. I would like to say the school is smart enough to leave a little bit of leeway in case anything went wrong. I would do that in that situation, but it doesn't mean they've done that in that situation. I'm not sure I like this, but we're going to commit. I might end up going over that. It's a little bit greener than I thought. I might end up going over it with a blue. So there's a little bit of drama over in my school right now while people sort that out, because people are angry. They're like, well, of course I'm not going to do that. Don't be ridiculous. And it's a case of how many of them say it and how many of them can do something about it, you know? Because a couple of the teachers that got rejected that I saw are teachers that the school has had a few issues with just recently. So it may just be a case of, well, no, we don't want to help you, you know? Which would be ridiculous, but there we go. I'm actually going to put a little bit more blue into the socket, into a matte, because this has come up a tad more green than I necessarily wanted it. Oh, I just fucked it up. That's fine, we'll go with that. Go with it, I'll blend it out, we'll see what we can do. I'll get a clean brush in a minute. So it's all the drama at the moment. I'm like, oh really? Oh really? Just taking some more of that feather shade. And I'm interested to see what will happen. I went to the head of HR and I was like, hi, excuse me. I've noticed that a few people have had emails, and I was a little bit concerned, and I just wanted to check because, you know, I do need to stay longer. And they were like, no, we've made an exception for you, but please don't tell everyone. Dude, I told the entire staff room before I went to the HR, because we got the emails and I was sitting there and people were like, what? And I was like, what? But they gave me permission. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, you didn't tell me this was confidential. I've already told one person. I don't think they told anyone though. I told everyone. So, oh, I've made a mess of this, you guys. I've made a mess of this. It's fine. I'm not going anywhere. We'll be fine. It's just going to be a little bit uneven. We'll live with it. I don't think I care. I need to fix that, but I will also have a fringe potentially covering a lot of it, so maybe I don't care. Never mind. It's all fine. Sometimes you just have to do it and see where you go. Sometimes I just sit here, even if I'm not doing anything, and just put it on to see. Maybe I should have done that before putting the camera on, but there we go. So this is what we're sticking with. It's okay. Oh, my fingers have got stuff all over them. I'm just gonna give it a bit more brightness here. All right. Not the best thing I could have done, but there we go. I'll put some eyeliner on and see if we can save it a little bit. Just going back into this Bayberry shade, which is the lighter shade I put on there. I'm just putting it into the inner corner and under the eye slightly, just to fill in this one right here. We're gonna hope that the liner saves us. Liner and mascara. I have to be a little bit careful with my mascara, because I've had times when I've been doing the upper waterline and I've just accidentally nicked my contact and popped it right out. And I've been like, oh, how awful. I'm just tapping myself in the eye. I changed my eyeliner. I had this one, what's this? Stands Out Beauty, I think. Was recommended by some beauty vlogger. Who was it? Tati, I think, at some point. And it was available on Amazon, so I bought it. But it's starting to dry out. It's a really nice liner, actually. So I've now got the Maybelline Master Ink from NYX, I think it is, in the matte. It's a little bit harder to use, but it's a nice liner. The brush is a little bit more narrow, but it's one of the foam tips that I definitely prefer. Because the point is a little bit narrower and more delicate, it's really hard for me not to get a crooked line. I'm trying. So then you end up choosing between having a massive line or a crooked one. I feel like that's as close as we're gonna get, but I will. I bought some mascara and try it out. One thing I do like about this one, even though it's a little harder to use, is that sometimes when you have a different kind of brush or a thinner kind of formula, it has trouble going over the shimmer because it kind of collects the shimmer as you go, and so you can't really get a dark line. This has no problem with that. It goes straight over, which is really nice. It's a very black formula, which I know is silly to say in a black eyeliner, but sometimes things run a little thin. My Princess Lash is also running a little bit dry. Do I have an extra? Oh, maybe. Aha, I do have an extra. Okay, cool. Usually if I buy things online, when it's things I know I just love and I will keep using, like my base, I'd never really change it. I've got the e.l.f. Flawless Satin Foundation because I run a bit dry, so I try not to have matte foundations. I've got the Camo Concealer under my eyes, and then my powder is the L'Oreal True Match in 1RC because I've got a very pink undertone. So when it's stuff like this that I'm going to be ordering, I just order a couple. And so when I'm done with this one, I'll probably use this one for a week or two more and then move to the new one. Oh no! Let that dry for a second. Give me a second to get rid of that. Okay, I think we're fine. I think we're fine. A little bit of patience and a little bit of prayer. Okay, I need maybe a blush. Oh, I'm just gonna put a little bit of lip balm just because my lips are quite dry and I want it to sink in a little bit while I do the blush and highlighter so that it can be a bit softer when I actually put my lipstick on. My blush I take from a Sigma Beauty palette. I'm not sure what the palette is called, but these are the colours. It's an older one. I know that they had the Cor de Rosa out after this, but this one is the one before because it's got a bit more of a mixture of cooler war tones, so I'm able to use all these blushes, which is quite rare in a palette. Usually I'll have a few blushes that I don't use, but this is a good mix, which is why it's good for me. What kind of colours do I want? Definitely cool toned. So I'm probably going to use a mixture of Pet Name and Mod Mauve, probably. And then I'll stick some highlighter on it to stop it pinking out too much. I'm all about like putting it on and then going, ah, and then fixing it with stuff. Because I am going to put a highlighter over this. It doesn't matter if it's a little bit darker, it'll cover it up a little. Just putting it up the top here. It looks a bit more intense in the camera actually, it's really not in real life. And we'll stick a highlighter on it, I suppose. What have I got? I'm really sad my Kaleidos, I had one called Space Dust, I think it was. I've got a couple more in that collection, but it ran out and I was super sad. So we're going to be using this MAC one in shade, it's got this packaging, I bought it a little while ago. What's the shade called? Fleur in their skin finish. I do quite like their skin finish. So I like to put it kind of all over my blush so it's a little bit glowier, which is why I wasn't too worried about it coming up a bit strong because I was about to blend it in anyway. So that's fine. I'm actually wondering if I have another shade in a different, this is Maybelline. I can't remember the name. Let me have a check here. Oh, it was a L'Oreal one. I can't remember the name of it. I've got another one that's really good when I wear like blues and turquoises because it's a very Cool Time version of my own lip, but this one might work. This one's called Rosewood Pearl, because the thing I find when I've got blues on my eyes, I don't actually want really colour on my lips because the eye colour is so strong, and if you go too pink it looks a bit painted. So I'm looking for a slightly cooler version of my actual lip, so it's a complete face but it's not bringing too much on it by itself because the focus is here. And this is a good one. So I bought this when I was at home a few weeks ago. I really enjoy the Maybelline lipstick line, the ones that come in these components. I've got quite a few different ones and the different colours depending on the different like colour stories of them. Really, really enjoy them. They're very comfortable to wear. Their cream ones particularly are very fun. Alright, I'm just going to change my wig up. Give me a second. Okay, and here we have it. So I'm all done. I'm not really doing anything. I just thought I'd play around with makeup. So here we are. I'm going to go make some more tea. I've been off coffee for a couple of days. I'm so sad. But I drink my coffee kind of latte style, so with quite a lot of milk. And I've had a sore throat because of the cold, so I've been drinking tea to help soothe that. But I've also really been trying to cut down on milk and dairy the last few days because I'm a little bit congested, and that just helps all of that inside your body. And I was like, oh, okay, we won't give it any more food then. So I'm sort of off dairy at the moment. Give it a few days, I'll be back to coffee, I'm sure, but I'm hoping I feel better tomorrow because I'm back at work tomorrow and I'm just like, don't make me do this without coffee, please. But we'll see how that goes. I might just have to give in and be like, I have an Americano with a little rather than all the latte, but I need coffee to survive, you guys. All right, I'm going to catch up with all you dudes later, and thank you for watching. Bye-bye.